I have the pleasure of introducing Mayor Andy Cook. In 2007, he was Westfield Town Council President and worked to transition Westfield into becoming, this is not Mayor Cook, Indiana's newest city of January 1, 2008. After graduating from Northwestern High School near Kokomo, he received a degree in biology and environmental health from Indiana University, Bloomington. After careers with the State Department of Health and the private sector, he joined his son in 1997 to develop Tradewinds, a transportation and logistics corporation headquartered in Hamilton County. Mayor Cook is dedicated to managing the physical and continuous working to maintain Westfield's character and charm while striving to increase its economic viability. Mayor Cook and his wife Barbara are the parents of 2 sons and a daughter and 9 to 11 grandchildren. Now, why Abraham Lincoln's up here? So, we take a look at what leaders look like when they first start and then when they are now. And so we look at someone since the presidential election. We look at someone like Abraham Lincoln from when he first started to now. We look at George W. Bush from then and now. Barack Obama, and you. You haven't changed a bit, so that's good. So I am honored to introduce Mayor Cook and take it away. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jack. I don't think the hair was quite this color. That's very kind of you. I still have more hair than both my boys sitting back there. I can see them because of the glare. Interesting. Well, hey, certainly want to welcome you all, and gosh, what an honor to have such an attendance that would like to be updated on where we are with the city. And thank you, Chamber, for putting this on so many years, and what a year it's been for you people. 60 new members, I believe, and several affiliations, I know, with Purdue amongst them, and that's absolutely wonderful. I want to thank the Bridgewater Club, Mike Gardner, under his direction. They always put on one heck of a show, and they're doing a great job. Couple things. We have a couple of new members to our executive team, which I'd like for you to meet if you haven't already. William Knox, right here, is the new director of Grand Park, formerly with Hamilton County Tourism. We're absolutely thrilled to have William. And over here to my south is our new fire chief. Please meet Chief Marcus Reed, all the way from Oregon. So, hey, we're glad to have him here. You know, I feel a little undone here. I've never given this talk harnessed or tieless. So bear with me as I try to maneuver through this. I would have tried a tie, but that isn't yet in my repertoire. And Barb isn't here right now to help me. She's actually still out of town. She sends you all her best. She isn't here because we were down at a conference in Dallas this week. Actually, she and I turned 65 this year, and our children gave us a trip to Dallas to attend a grandparents' conference. And we weren't really sure how to take that at first. We were either doing very well or we were doing very badly. But it was a great experience. And it was at the church, Chuck Swindle, if you may know, at Stonebriar Church. And funny thing is, we got down there Tuesday and walked into this huge auditorium, and I looked around, I said, hey, Barb, we're in the wrong place. She said, why? I said, these people are old. So we fit right in. But she's been a great help through all of this, and she ties my shoes, helps me get my belt on. At the expense of gets my ice, the expense of sounding like a deplorable chauvinist, hey, I could get used to that, you know? That was so it was pretty good. So, there's a lot of facts there for you to look through 2016. We kind of highlighted them there in that magazine we put together. Just a few brief highlights. The trail system, as you know, continues to expand. Very proud fact, our employees for the second year voted that they were part of a best workplace, which is a huge attribute to our Chief of Staff, Todd Bertrand, as he puts together our department heads. But also Grant Park, won't spend a lot of time on that. We spent a lot of time in years past, is doing what it is supposed to do. We'll have really 2 million visits to Grant Park this year. Last year spending over $94 million, and we're beginning to enjoy some of the financial aspects of that. It was a big week last week, and was our first national broadcast. It was the Big Ten Men's Soccer Championship. So that facility is doing exactly what it was intended to do. So it's been quite a journey, a real privilege these last 10 years as we walked from a town into a city, and what I'd like to do now is kind of visit some with where we are and a little bit about where we're going, and with a pretty exciting announcement with that. You know, what we're trying to prove here is that a successful community is a result of its people. Not the government and not politics, but it's about our people. And it doesn't matter how big you are. I mean, on a political note, Indiana's a pretty doggone small state in this nation. And yet, as of last week, Indiana is having a huge impact on the politics of this country. Likewise, Westfield's a pretty small place. It's been said by some outside, I heard this comment, Westfield tends to punch above its weight class. And we're proud about that. And some of you heard this story, but it kind of brings it all home when I give tours of Grant Park quite often to people from across the country. And we'll be touring the park, and of course people are amazed at the quality and the size, and it's like, wow, Mayor, you know, this place is, this is big, yeah. A little while later, they draw to a close, they often say, well, how big of a city is Westfield? Well, it's about 37,000. Then I know what's coming next. I'll hear the same phrase. How does a little city like that pull off something like this? I've heard that over and over again. And it's because of our people and the way that we've been able to bring many of our citizens into the process of building this town into a city. Several years ago, I think the council brought in a author by the name of Peter Kagiyama, if I'm not fracturing that. He wrote a book called The Love of Cities. And he talked about how cities are really put together by what he called co-creators. And the co-creators are those that participate in the groups, and they're educators. They start and they build businesses. So what we'd like to look at in some videos, if you would, is I'd like for you to meet some of our citizens that are the humans of Westfield, because they're the ones that are making this place a truly wonderful place. If you would.
Well, when I first came here, it was back in 1989, and it was on winter. So in my country, it was like always summer. And so I came here and I feel like very, like, is this all the way it is? There was no leaves on the trees. It was everything dry, very cold. I had to wear 2 pants, 3 pants, double socks, big jacket, big hoodie. I feel very uncomfortable until eventually I see the change and I see green grass and leaves coming out and it turned out to be very beautiful. So I like that. But I didn't feel comfortable because I was feeling lonely. There was no Hispanic community, nobody who I can talk to. And there was nobody who I can talk to, and I feel lonely. I had my girlfriend. I went back to Mexico within a year, and I married my girlfriend. And now we got 5 kids together. My oldest is 24. I was working on construction as far as building fences, and I was interested in learning more skills. So I taught myself how to do more and more, and then eventually joined a construction company, and then eventually went independent. The Hispanic community help build the homes. The more taxes, better roads, better parks, more shopping malls, better schools, and the community accepts us coming to do the work that we know how to do and help. I have noticed appreciation on the people who have lived here many years of the previous residents, how they appreciate too. In reality, I feel lucky to be here. I ended up being here, and I thank God because it was the greatest thing to do. I feel safe. My kids are growing strong. My wife and I, we have a great relationship. We feel safe, and it's been great to us. I'm sure there's other businesses there. We have done very well, and I see them. I know they're doing great, and somehow in their heart I know they appreciate it. And we hope to keep it doing the same way for many years to come.
Mari, thank you. Stand up and say hello. Would you meet and his daughter is here with him. This is one of the builders, literally, of Westfield, who's come here from far away and found a home, and we're thrilled to have you here. You're making a statement here in Westfield. Thank you so much. And we talked about builders, and I think next we have an educator in Jamie Myers, one of our kindergarten teachers.
My name is Jamie Myers. I am a kindergarten teacher at Maple Glen Elementary. I have been teaching at Maple Glen for 3 years now, but I taught in another district for 10 years before that. It's pretty amazing. These kids come in and they are so excited to learn. They're just so eager from the moment they step in the door, and they want to be here. They want to hear everything you have to say, and they're just chomping at the bit to get their hands on something educational. When I went to school, it was all about play and all about, being able to just jump into school and be comfortable. And now, kindergarten is so much more than that. Kindergarten is the foundation of every child's learning, and it is such an important grade level. These kids come in here, and I was saying earlier, they're just so eager to learn. They are ready and willing, and so it just kind of sets the tone for the rest of their schooling years. My husband, Matt, and I have 3 children. We have Hayden, who is in 3rd grade here at Maple Glen, and then my daughter Mackenzie is in Mrs. Krask's class in kindergarten. Hayden is 8 and Mackenzie is 5, and my son John is 3, and he is in the TOTS program over at Monon Trail. I truly know how amazing the schools are now. I can see firsthand from a mom standpoint and from a teacher standpoint just how great things are that go on here. As long as you can see that the people in the community value the educational aspect of the school and value what the teachers and administrators are doing, it shows value in the community. It shows how much the parents parents and everyone else in the community support what is going on to build the students up to be good citizens in the future.
Can everyone please go ahead and clean up and then wash your hands for lunch?
And where are you, young lady? Won't you here? Right here. Please say hello to our crowd, won't you? And thank you for being here, for doing that, taking care of our little ones. It's wonderful. Thank you so much. And you know, it's we talk over and over again about the quality of the schools and how important that is. And I just want to say how proud I am of this community to vote that referendum last week. I believe it was, what was it, Dr. Ray, 80-something? 81.35. I'm like, no, you don't have another digit to put on that? 81.359? Anyway. Wow, that says something about our community right there. And it's what's a huge factor in bringing people here. And we're pleased to have Dr. Drake in our community right now. We're working very closely with her and her school board and our council to be sure that we can continue this quality level from a physical aspect and from a quality standpoint. And it's a challenge, but what a wonderful position to be in. Well, our next person is also an educator, so to speak. One of our very important social healers here in Westfield, who has just, the only thing you'll notice is she lacks enthusiasm, but we'll try to get that through that. But if you would, meet, if you have not already, Danielle Easterhouse.
I'm Danielle Easterhouse, the Executive Director of Student Impact of Westfield. I've been married to my husband 17 years, and I had a daughter coming into that marriage. And then my husband and I, when we got married, decided that we wanted to have kids, but we wanted to choose adoption at some point. And so I had a little bit of infertility. I had a lot of infertility that came about, and so we were like, we're just supposed to adopt. So we did. And then when I was about 40, I found out I was pregnant. And I got Sophia, and she's 8 now. I grew up with an adopted brother. It was just something I always knew. My first brother, Matthew, was a special needs kid. He had many major health issues. I have a real passion for those kids. And Jeremy was low cog. So he had some issues that we had to deal with, and I kind of just grew up with that. Knowing all of that, that was the initial part of knowing that your family would be okay, even if you weren't blood related. It never scared me. I had a brother that way. He felt like my brother from the time he was there. That was a big push. The other push was we just felt the need to have a place for kids to be loved. It didn't seem right to us that there were people that had kids that they couldn't care for whatever reason, that their kids didn't deserve a place. And we had a place that we could give them. In the intermediary, we fostered about 11 kids. Like, the core of who we are is that we all want to be loved and accepted, and that's all those kids wanted. And we were like, we can do this. I mean, anybody can love and accept somebody. So we just did it. I mean, we only took older teenage girls. I feel like that's my passion. The passion for Student Impact comes from being a 13-year-old girl who was really from a fantastic family. I had amazing parents that would do anything for me. I was raised in faith. I knew right from wrong. I had good friends, and it didn't matter. I still made really, really bad choices. And I think it came to the point where I always felt like I had to be someone different. And I couldn't really be who I was in front of people. So I was wearing this weird mask, and I thought, I am never going to let a teenager girl ever do that. I will reveal to them that they are beautiful where they're at. You are who you are, and God made you that way. Like, God gave you a purpose because of the way you are, not to be this other crazy way. I didn't figure that out until much later in life. I just always thought, I will have something to share with a kid, and this is the place. This is the place. We see so much here.
Wow, Danielle, are you here? Where is she? Oh, over there. Thank you, Danielle. Still love that dude. That is gorgeous. Yes, I love it. Speaking of do, there's only one person in this room that is wearing a do-rag. And if you haven't met the lady that keeps my dailies straight, Carrie Hahn is right here. And Carrie, as many of you know, and I think it was shortly after the first of the year, came to us and said, hey, I've got cancer. A young, 40 years old, comes down with not one, but 2 breast cancer. And she has shown us in the city how to get through that kind of adversity. She's been an absolute shining example of determination. I don't not think she missed a day. I'm not sure.
I'm going up too.
Okay, that was our deal. 2 days off. But she kept her work up unbelievably, showed us how to get through that kind of thing with a smile, with determination, and with prayers and all. You showed us what to do, Carrie. Thank you so very much. And I might mention, according to the last tests, whatever they do, cancer-free. You beat it. That's it. We have a guy that's been very involved in the city. He couldn't be here with us today, and that's Larry Clarino, who wants to tell you about some of our very important volunteer group here in Westfield.
Larry Clarino, we're in Oak Manor. Actually, I was born in Chicago, an old South Sider, and met my wife at the Art Institute in Chicago, where we both graduated from a million years ago, way before you were born. We ended up in Norwalk, Connecticut. I had a commercial photography business there, a rather large one. Clients like United Parcel and General Electric Corporate, Mattel Toys, company, Armstrong Tire and Rubber Company, companies like that. And had the opportunity to sell my business in '06. Sold it to my second biggest client. He handed me a check, I handed him the key, and I was retired. Been involved with motor racing, primarily IndyCar racing, for years and years and years, and decided since no one can afford to retire in Connecticut, we moved back here to the Midwest. When you have your own business, especially one the size of my business, I was traveling 12, 14 weeks a year. So, it really wasn't time to do much at home, certainly not to do much volunteer stuff. And I've come here, I've gotten heavily involved in the volunteer area, which is kind of how I got involved with the Lions. A lot of people don't hear about all the stuff that the Westfield Lions do. Internationally, we're the Knights of the Blind. Helen Keller actually brought the challenged Lions International to support deaf and blind people, and that's how the international program got involved with eyeglasses and giving eye tests to kids, poor kids. We do that here in Westfield. We also have teams in Haiti, around the world, from Lions International. Our scholarship program, we sponsored, I believe it was 4 or 5 veterans last year on honor flights. We picked up the whole tab for those guys. We give a dictionary to every 3rd grader in Westfield, which is somewhere close to 1,000 3rd graders now. That is so much fun to go into the schools with the stack of books and you hand these little books to these kids, and usually it's the first book, the first real book that is theirs. First we tell the kids, you got to write your name on it. This isn't your brother's book, it's not your mother's book, it's not your dad's book, it's yours. And you're going to use this book through grade school and through high school. And the kids are just so proud of having their own book. We are there to serve. That's the Lions motto, is we serve, and that's what the group is all about. And I'm very proud of that.
Larry Clarino has been involved, I know, in our weekend neighborhood organizations, and just recently he's affiliated with a car group We brought to Graham Park about a month ago that defensive driving school for 16-year-olds, if any of you saw some information on that. Wow, that was it was not only great for the kids, but it provided entertainment to a lot of visitors at Graham Park because they're skidding and speeding and fire hoses, and it was very successful. So thank you. Larry just epitomizes the kind of service agencies that we have. And I'd like to introduce you to one other person. I didn't know he's going to be here till earlier in the week, but he's a guy who's been around Westfield much longer than I have been. Was actually, I believe, a member of the Chamber of Commerce Board for many years. A guy that I met right after I moved here in '05, as I have this interest in trails. But for those of you that may have never met, Alan Burnell is right here. Alan, can you stand and say hello to us? Alan is the godfather of our trail system in Westfield. And, but Westfield has more miles of pathways per capita than any city in Indiana. And a big part of that has to do with you. If you want to learn a little bit more of his history, flying and bicycle riding and all kinds of wild things, visit the first mile of the Monon Trail from 146 to 156. It is dedicated to Alan in the Alan Burnell Monon Mile. So what a contributor, what a co-creator, right here live, Alan Burnell. Thank you, sir. Well, yeah, it's all about these different groups, you know, and I'll name a few more, but you know, what it tells you is, I would wager this, Westfield has more engagement with our citizens than any city in Indiana. Nobody can disprove me, so it's got to be true. But between the standard groups like our city council, most of the members are here, our plan commission, rather active group, redevelopment commission, the board of zoning appeals, but then we've got many of these volunteer groups that take a sprinkle of government and are dominated by our citizens group, such as the Spring Mill Station group, redefined 161st and Spring Mill. Our Westfield Welcome group, it's over 100 strong out at Grand Park. Our Sports Commission don't meet anymore, but they certainly accomplished something, called Grand Park. Our Police Academy, a growing group that now is established under Chief Rush's reign, has now established an alumni club. That's fun to see. Of course, the oldest group probably is the Grand Junction Task Group that still is meeting and is overseeing the development of that park that you're beginning to see take place in the plaza downtown. We'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. We've got a group also in Village Farms that is looking at as a neighborhood. Okay, it's one of the oldest neighborhoods in the city. Kind of lacks some of our amenities we have now, like pathways and landscaping and some signage and all. And they're looking at, hey, how can we take an older neighborhood and bring it up to date, working with the city, so to speak. And then we have the award-winning, infamous Hoover Commission, led by Steve Hoover. There he is, okay. That is a group that quietly but diligently works behind the scenes, working on our zoning, mostly our planning and zoning, and updating these codes that are the stuff Matthew gets off on, and it is what's bringing the quality development to our city. And it's taken hours and hours and hours of citizens' input to develop a huge piece of where this city's going. And of course, the Youth Assistance Program, we've spoken about that many times, but let me tell you, you know how proud I am of that. And the fact that this city's citizens have put together a program that is keeping kids out of the legal system, which is demonstrated by the plummeting number of kids that are entering the legal system in Hamilton County, and now is being copied, and we love it, across the county, and now all across the state. And it's working It's a social program. Wait a minute, what's the government doing involved at that level of a social program? Because we're trying to prove that citizens with a sprinkling of government can do it much better than just government alone. Then we've got our volunteers and our nonprofits, our Rotary Club, Lions you just heard from, Kiwanis, Open Doors, Student Impact, Heart and Soul, and of course the many churches that you're seeing springing up around Westfield. Is just as we quest to bring in families, what a wonderful sign that is to see so many young churches coming here to do their startup. So what all these groups are certainly accomplishing through people what government cannot do alone. So what's this all produced? Well, it's produced a place that apparently people want to be. And we know in the economic development world, we've learned in the last few years that so many of our young'uns find a place to live and then they find a job, which is totally backwards from the old days. So what we have to do is work hard to create that sense of place. We don't have a lot of natural amenities to work with, so we have to work at producing a quality place. Starts with the schools, and then we add to it. And our people are adding amenities. And is it working? Well, look around you. The growth of our neighborhoods, the growth of our businesses. You know, there's this thing in business called supply and demand. Well, we've created the demand. And the realtors will certainly back that up, as will the development community. So, yeah, 10 years ago we were looking at, all right, how do we grow and how do we grow well? And here we are now looking at how do we continue this best. I can tell you this in talking with some of the people from central Indiana that are involved in real estate and development, that because of our vision that's been sustained and the strong backing of a city council, the strong backing of our citizens, the indications like our community just showed in the 81.9745 backing of a referendum. I can tell you this, the investment community's eyes are on Westfield. Now what we have to do is continue on that vision. We need to provide the financial stability and sustainability. We've got some great people under the direction of Todd Bertrand that are doing just that. And we must continue to do what we pledged to do many years ago, and that is to manage our gift of growth well. So we got a lot of questions we looked at. I threw some of them out last year. Let's kind of visit those for an update. We talked about the need to maintain our public safety. I asked you if we could slightly raise your taxes. I know government isn't supposed to talk about that, but we all enjoy an unbelievably safe city here. Chief Rush, Chief Jordan have just done a wonderful job in prevention. Not sexy, not front page news, but if you look at the statistics, per capita, we are very, very fortunate. And it comes at a cost. And as the population grows, I want to stay up with that. And so our city council graciously voted to begin the process of creating a public safety local option income tax. They voted unanimously for that. They're not embarrassed to say they voted for a tax. And now it's up to our fellow cities in Hamilton County to also, it takes a certain majority of those city councils to pass that. So we'll see where that goes. We addressed last year, how big of a city do we want to be? And I can tell you that has precipitated a lot of wonderful discussion with Matt and Skelton and his group and all of the city council and the plan commission members, and it's very interesting to watch. You know, we've got a huge number of available and yet to be built lots, and we still have a lot of people knocking on the door, say they want to do more. So we have to look at that very carefully, and we still need to continue our balance of the commercial tax base along with the residential tax base. We also touched briefly last year on, hey, someday we'd like to develop a civic center. Remember that? We kind of threw out, hey, there could be different entities involved, the city hall, perhaps the school offices, the township offices, maybe the library. Again, I haven't talked to all these people. A civic building where we could have more meeting space for the smaller civic groups that now are kind of scattered around. And so, you know, the next part is that dream may be coming true. I'm really excited to introduce this next piece. It's to be a new development here in our city that has not yet been made public, I believe. We're going to see this in the next couple of weeks. But it has a lot of very key components to it. Now, I'll try to point a little bit, but I'll see what I can do. Orient yourself. We got 31 across the bottom, 32, Grand Junction Plaza. The Greenway, it begins at 31 and actually goes through the plaza and further east all the way up to 32 there, close to where Big Office is now. A very unique greenway that many cities, even here in our own county, don't have. Looking at the individual pieces of this, it's to be anchored by a very large hotel, 169, okay? Very large hotel, eventually some 500 rooms. A conference center that in all likelihood would be a joint venture with the city, not unlike what we did with the very successful event center out at Grand Park. This facility, we have a developer of the hotel property, very successful here in Indianapolis, by the name of Joe Schwarz. He owns and operates the convention center, or the Marriott, at Shadeland and 465 on the east side. And he took a look at our city and said, there's a huge market here for the conference business, and he wants to be a part of it. And when he first came, he was pressured, hey, you need to go over here on the west side. He's working with one of our local developers in Edgerock. And Joe Schwarz, he wanted to see the picture of the entire downtown. And we showed it to him, and he said, tell me about this. He told him, well, it's a very unique city park, a plaza, very unique architecture, capitalizes on a small asset of streams and the convergence of 6 trails. And he quickly said, no, we're not going here, we're going over here. Because of the trail system, Cool Creek Trail, 169 connector, a Midland Trail, it'll come 231 right behind Restaurant Row. And he said, what a perfect location that can build on Grand Park and has these trail connections that can deliver us also to the emerging Grand Junction. So already the plaza hasn't been built. We're 3 or 4 years away from completion, and we have the interest of the investment community. You'll see the term YMCA here, and I want to say we've begun talking with them. This is a possibility. They've indicated they're very serious about this property. And we would perhaps also be talking with schools and talking with the Vipers, our local aquatics club, and see if we can't put something together there that could serve many of our community needs for pool space. So, a very real piece of this puzzle. Over here we talked about the potential for that civic center. And down here, next to the freeway, would be potential office space. In fact, we're talking with a potential user of that property as we speak. The land has been secured. The city has secured funds from NDOT to build the south extension of what is now called, of course, Shamrock, and that will stay, but this is known right now as Poplar. But our thoroughfare plan shows this to be Westfield Boulevard. So we will be building this section of roadway here with that grant money. And that road will eventually go down through what it was to be Lantern Commons in that area, and just in the area 161 connect back up with Westfield Boulevard. We're just south of there, down by the Havigs. You know, we're connecting that road under construction right now that will end up down beside Target and 151 and eventually go all the way down to Western Way, and we'll have a continuous Westfield Boulevard from State Road 32 all the way down to 146th Street. So this is some exciting news. Tells us that the investment community is certainly taking notice of what's going on in Westfield and what our co-creators have produced. And this is a project that can get started pretty quickly. And a lot of pieces to it, a lot of what ifs, but those are the kind of things that we're now beginning to see. So, you know, are we on the right track? Gosh, I think so. You know, we were honored. You see these ratings come up, and some of them you kind of goes in one ear and out the other. But this is, you know, this one's been around a while, and it was it's a small phrase, but I think there were 1,200 cities between something like 25,000 and 100,000 in population, some 1,300 cities across America. And Westfield was ranked number one. An incredible feat. Our people are just unbelievable. And it has to do with the schools. It has to do with our people. It has to do with our crime and our EMS services. And it's just this perfect combination of people and time and a freeway perhaps all coming together. And I'll leave you with altering an old Indiana phrase, and it would be this: ain't God good to Westfield? Thanks for listening.